Hey, what's up and how's it going, all MRBers? I'm so glad that you have took your time to watch this video right here today on the Mick Rock and Bolt Wrestling Review Show. And I am your co-host, Mike Mick Rock, and right now I am going to give you my review as well as the results of last night's episode that hails from the Full Sail University in Orlando, Florida, and it's called NXT. On this episode of NXT, the show kicked off with a 6 Divas tag team match. It was Summer Rae, Sasha Banks, and Alicia Fox versus Natalya, Bayley, and Emma. And overall, I thought this was just an okay, forgettable 6 Diva tag team match. I think NXT puts on a lot better one-on-one Divas matches than they do tag team matches because we don't get to see the full potential of some of the divas that can go in the ring. So, in a 6 Diva tag team match, it's limited to what they have to do in order to get the point across and who wins and who loses, such and such and such, etc., etc. Now, I thought, there were a couple of moments in the beginning of this match, that could have been cleaned up. There were a couple of things like the monkey flip, it never quite was sold right. It wasn't executed properly. It wasn't sold right. So, like I said, there were little minor issues when it comes to the wrestling aspect of this match, but it picked up as it went along. And like I said before, it was nothing really special. It was just a way for Emma to go over to gain momentum going into her championship match against Paige at NXT Arrival in just a couple of weeks' time. So with that being said, I thought this match, like I said, was just okay. It was nothing special. And at the end, Natalya, Bayley, and Emma won this match. Now, with all that being said, I'm going to, go through each of these divas to tell you what I think should happen with them. 1. The BFFs. It seems like that NXT is dragging them out and they're not doing anything with them, so I think what should happen is that one of them should turn on the other to cause a little friction. I think it's that time now where they need to do something with the BFFs to put someone into a babyface role, to put them in a rivalry with someone. Like I could see Sasha Banks turning on Summer Rae and have Summer Rae and Charlotte be the two BFFs that'll stick as a team. Something like that I think should happen with the BFFs. When it comes to Emma, we all know now that she's on Raw now, so she's has established herself as a diva on NXT, and I don't think that she needs to win the NXT Women's Championship because she is on Raw now. And with her out of the way, I think when it comes to Natalya and Bayley, I love to see something happen between the two of them. The whole teacher versus student idea, I think, should come into play. And that's what I think what should happen with the Divas division right now on NXT. Moving on, we get to a match between Aiden English and Colin Cassidy, and like the first match, this was just okay. Again, it was nothing special. It was just a way for Aiden English to go over Colin Cassidy. Now, what I do like about this match is Aiden English and how he executes his moves. I mentioned this before on my past NXT review, how he executes his suplex. See, he makes his moves look really graceful in the ring, and he does it this week with a couple of net breakers to Colin Cassidy, and how he executes them. It's very smooth and graceful, and it also suits his character. The little things matter. It's always about how you execute your wrestling maneuvers. That ties into your character. If you're a rugged Smash Mouth style like Triple H, you're going to smash his back to the mat. But when you're Aiden English, you're a Broadway singer who has a graceful presence. You execute maneuvers in that kind of way. So I like how they add that layer to his character when it comes to his in-ring work. Now, Colin Cassidy is only limited to what he can do to gain the heat from the fans. And to me, what's wrong with Colin Cassidy winning a match every now and then? It just seems like every time Colin Cassidy is in the ring, he's going to lose. And it really sucks for Cassidy because I think even though he's limited to what he can do in the ring, why not just have him win a match every now and then? There's nothing wrong with it. And with that being said, what happened? Aiden English wins this match in a short amount of time. And like I said before, this match was just an okay, forgettable kind of deal where the bad guy goes over the good guy. Up next, we had what I thought was the segment of the show. It's a promo. Sami Zayn came out. He cut a promo and he talked about how he's stuck in a moment in that 2 out of 3 falls match where he just lost to Antonio Cesaro in that match, and how he got stuck and he's questioning where did he go wrong, how did I end up losing that match. And what we got was Antonio Cesaro coming out and basically coming out and saying that there's nothing you could have done. I am better than you, and he basically told him that he's obsessed with the match, the 2 out of 3 falls match, and that he should get over it. And then Sami Zayn, and basically saying that he's better than Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn comes back from it and he talks about the history between both of them, how it dates back before NXT, and then shortly after, Sami Zayn puts over Cesaro, how he talks about how he's a workhorse and that he always competes in the ring with guys that he just has a great outing. He always talks about how great Cesaro is, and I like it because Cesaro is one of those guys that even though he's a villain as a character, you just can't help but put over. He is definitely one of those guys. And basically, Antonio Cesaro tells Sami Zayn, how many times do I have to defeat you to get through your thick skull that I'm better than you? And Sami Zayn comes back and says that he's afraid of him. And he's afraid that he will lose to Sami Zayn, and how he brought up that they bring the best out of each other. And I think these two, in my opinion, probably the greatest rivalry since the NXT's inception of the reboot, when it comes to putting on wrestling shows. And I think that going into this match, I think we're going to get a really good match again. What happened after that was that basically Triple H came out. Now, before Triple H came out, of course, Antonio Cesaro still does not accept the challenge to Sami Zayn. I like it. It makes sense. Triple H comes out, makes the announcement that on NXT Arrival, Sami Zayn and Antonio Cesaro will go one-on-one. And I thought this was great build-up to their match. Their dialogue back and forth I thought was really interesting. These two are really good on the microphone, I thought, this week. And to me, on this episode of NXT, the one thing to watch out for was the promos instead of the matches. The matches were just okay. This episode was more on the promo work. when it comes to things happening in the ring, the talking, stuff like that. I think this was the segment of the show. This delivered a couple of good promos from a couple of good wrestlers that are going into a match. Now, the only little nitpicky issue I have with it is that, okay, we're going to have a match between the two of them. No stipulation yet. I'm still waiting because sometimes you need to follow up on a past stipulation that they already had, like the 2 out of 3 falls match. So why not book this match as a best of 3 falls match to ante up the stakes? And to me, something like that should happen with this rivalry when it comes to a close. And I think that Sami Zayn has everything to lose and everything to gain going into this one-on-one match with Antonio Cesaro in just 2 weeks at NXT's big event, Arrival. Also on the show, we saw a match between CJ Parker and Ty Dillinger, and this was basically a jobber match where CJ Parker went over. It was just a very short match, and I think Ty Dillinger, to me, deserves a lot better. I see what he can potentially do in the ring, and I think the match could have been a little bit longer. Now, with that being said, after CJ Parker won the match, this is the part where I thought, okay, this is great. Something good is happening now. What happened was that CJ Parker cut a really good promo, I thought, how he talked about how people are polluting the earth. He talked about climate change. He talked about how people are incapable of love and how they've turned on him. Is starting to boo him, and I like how he was using the chants, the audience, how they're reacting to him, and he used it in his promo. I thought that heel turn was very well executed, and he was speaking a lot of truth in that promo. I just couldn't help but really agree to what he was saying, and it made it believable, and that's why it was executed very well. And I think this was a smart decision on the part of NXT to turn CJ Parker heel because, let's face it, he's been getting the boos from the NXT crowd, and that's something they should capitalize on. They've done it with Bo Dallas, and now they're doing it with CJ Parker. Smart move, NXT. Smart decision. Finally, you're doing something right with CJ Parker. And the main event was the Wyatt family going against basically those guys, in that basically it was a jobber squash match. It was very, very short, even though I thought it was a weird way to end it. It still landed on a really good note because we know how passionate the NXT crowd is with the Wyatt family and their persona and how they go over with the fans on NXT. And I think that it's always great to see guys that are now establishing themselves on Raw and SmackDown and now brought to NXT just to, give the fans what they want to see. And even though they're considered heels, to me, when it comes to the NXT crowd is way different than it is on Raw and SmackDown because they chant weird things. During that Ty Dillinger and CJ Parker match, they were chanting Purple Power. Of all things, Purple Power. So I think that, when it comes to giving the NXT fans what they want to see, to me, that was a good way to go out on this show. Overall, I think that this show was actually a decent show. And like I said before, this show I thought was great when it comes to the promo work than the wrestling, because the matches on the show were just okay. But the promo work was top-notch, great. I cannot wait to see this match between Sami Zayn and Antonio Cesaro. The Divas match for the NXT Women's Championship, it will be Paige versus Emma, and to me that just feels like a filler match, and that's saying something. And the main event will be Bo Dallas versus Adrian Neville in the ladder match for the NXT Championship. I think this show, in 2 weeks' time, NXT Arrival, I hope will not disappoint. And that was my review of last night's episode of NXT. For the McRock and Bolt Wrestling Review Show, I am Mike McRock Wilson. And to all you viewers watching, you can follow MRB Wrestling Reviews on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to us on YouTube. And on a final note, get plenty of rest and always do your best.